You gotta just chill out, man.
Pittsburgh Steelers fans, welcome back to another episode of the Scho Bro Show. This is Steel Curtain Network editor Dave Schofield coming at you Tuesday night, a little bit after 9 p.m. Where else would you rather be as a Steelers fan on a game week? And with me, as always, except when he's not, is my big brother Rich, Big Bro Scho. How do you go this evening?
Let's go.
I thought it was going to be let's giggity go. No, sorry. But my kids are too young. That's Mickey Mouse theme. It's go time. It is. It really is. But you know what? We're going to dive into the Steelers. We got so much new. It's game week. Super excited. We are a few minutes later tonight, but we are a few minutes later for a very good reason. And that very good reason is you needed to help your son get signed back into his Yahoo account so he could go in and sign up.
Sign back into my Yahoo.
Oh, your other Yahoo account. That's right.
Yes.
Yeah, because that's what he uses. Not just because of our family fantasy football league that we do, but he needed to get into the Steel Curtain Network Survivor contests. So I'm bringing it up now for everyone. We'll probably mention it again after the break. The Survivor contest is up and going. But here's the deal. We haven't filled up the first one yet. It's almost full. And I think I know how we're going to get a lot more entries. And that is, we haven't shared the link to go straight in on social media yet. And the reason I haven't is because I don't want to share the link and people fill up a league that already was mostly full. And then you got a dead link out there floating around that people are trying to use. I'm trying to start to start the second league. So I need to get there and have a go. We're kind of waiting until later in the week. Going to give it a big push so people, when you go in and sign up, you make your pick so you don't forget it. Do it right then. If you are not in there, last week somebody, Rich, okay, you're already in, right?
Yes,
you're in. I'm in. We're good to go. My pick's made too. Somebody suggested during the Steelers preview, great idea. They said, put the link in the YouTube description. I'm like, that's a fantastic idea. That would have been perfect if I would have remembered to actually do it. So I'm hoping I could put a link in that's a longer lasting link for this show, for the preview, things like that. So once again, I'm going to tell everyone, if you're not in the Survivor League, all you need is a Yahoo ID. It's free. The prize is a signed Steelers mini helmet signed by Alan Faneca. It says Alan Faneca, Hall of Fame, number 66. Really nice. We debuted that a couple weeks ago on the show. So just remember, it's Calvin Austin, Mason Rudolph, Ben Skoranek. 19215. That's what it is under Survivor Football for in Yahoo. The password is all one word, lowercase, Steel Curtain. But also, you can go to steelcurtainnetwork.com, look for an article that has Alan Faneca in his Hall of Fame jacket. You can click on the link there. When that one fills and it's ready for a new one, I'll put an updated link in that article. So please help me fill it up. All right, I had to do that for a bit to get us started. So because that was just good. How excited are you about it being a game week, Rich?
Ooh, I love game week, but I did an article on my Worthless 2 cents, and one of the things I talked about in that was, I'm always excited for regular season football. It is the best. It is the best to get the season kicked off for real football. But I wouldn't trade some of the stuff in the offseason for anything.
You're right.
It really is a process. And I find myself enjoying more and more of the process, except mock drafts, every year.
That's a mock drafts, yeah. That's funny. You know what? I get just enough mock drafts to make it worth my while doing the mock draft Monday. Man, that's been a long time since I did mock draft Monday. I'm not looking forward to mock draft Monday because I start that whenever the season's done.
Right.
So, no, forget that. Yeah.
Right. But part of what I was getting at there is, you know what? As fans, we should enjoy all parts of what goes on with the Steelers.
Yeah.
You know, like I enjoyed what the Steelers did in free agency this year. How cool was it for the DK Metcalf trade? You know, and having stuff like that come out, and it gives us stuff to continue to talk about. But nothing is as exciting as Steelers regular. Well, let me take that back. I was going to say there's nothing as exciting as Steelers regular season football. Actually, the only thing that might be more exciting is Steelers postseason football, although not recently.
Yeah, well, yes. But remember, this was part of my unpopular opinion. I really went out with a doozy about how Steelers can have a successful season without a postseason win. I'm like, it's possible. I'm not saying it's probable, because there could always be circumstances that all of a sudden you're like, I mean, my goodness, what if things go absolutely crazy partway through the year and the Steelers have to completely refocus what they're trying to do for the future, and they really start to turn things around and things go really well. And they, there's different ways. And I'm like, just because there's something you can measure success other than just getting a win in the playoffs, that you just go to show you that the journey is so important. That if you want to have a win in the playoffs, you've got to put yourself in the best position. And in order to put yourself in the best position, you have to bring it each and every week, which means every game is important. Like some of the people in the comments to the article were saying, I just want to wake up every Sunday morning for a Steelers game knowing that they can win.
Yes.
There we go. And I mean, and I feel like that's what we're getting to right now. But something else I'm going to get to before we dive into stuff too much. There's been a little bit of news going on recently because we had our first Tomlin Tuesday, our first real Tomlin Tuesday, meaning for the regular season, actually talking about the opponent, giving injury updates, things like that. But some news that we had before that, I got to try to look back and see because somebody gave me some. That's what happens. This jumps whenever I don't bring it up right away. This is Reginald Drivers 1617 says, "Good job, Dave, for saying Waya will switch his number to 94. That was on the preview against Brian. I forgot that we bet on it, that he now owes me a movie theater popcorn, because I said that, because Brian's like, I don't think anyone will switch. I said, I think Wyatt Black will, because his number in college was 94. I think he'll switch to 94. And he did. So that was some news. The other changes were mainly practice squad guys, things that made sense there. I think they were all practice squad guys. Speaking of practice squad, what other news do we have today, Rich?
That Robert Woods asked for his release from the Steelers practice squad, and he was granted that release.
Yes, he was. He was. I have a theory on that I put in the article.
I didn't read the article. So
okay.
What was your
and that's okay. Because I did the breaking news article for that for SteelCurNetwork.com, where you can get all the good stuff. Here's my theory. Said you don't know why he requested his release. But here you're like, why would he sign to then ask for his release? Because obviously he didn't make any money for being on the practice squad, because you have to actually be on the practice squad during the game. And you get paid each week. That's the way it works. I think this. I think he thought, you know what? Calvin Austin, dealing with injury. Ben Skoranek, he seemed to be banged up a little bit. He wasn't playing at the end of the preseason. If the Steelers are saying, hey, you're going to be our first guy that we have back on the team, even if it's just being elevated. Because remember, when practice squad guys get elevated, they don't get practice squad checks. They get game checks.
Yeah.
So and that's significant. I think maybe he was thinking there was a real possibility that he would still be elevated or even brought onto the 53-man roster before week 1. Today in Mike Tomlin's press conference, he said, everybody is good to go except one player's ruled out, something we expected, Derek Harmon. We'll talk about him a little bit later. Mm-hmm. And who he would call questionable, although he had a really nice practice on Monday, I thought he said, but I thought I saw a report that he wasn't even dressed for. I don't know. Is Nick Herbig. He's questionable. That's how things are going into the week. No wide receivers there. He said Calvin Austin, good. Alex Highsmith, good. Those are the only people he even mentioned by name. So that's some significant news. To me, I think Robert Woods hears that and says, hey, they're not struggling with wide receiver. I want to be on a 53, not on a practice squad. Please let me go.
Yes. And
I know. I said drivers again.
yes.
I know it's Reginald Rivers. I don't know why that.
I don't know.
I tell you what.
Because there's no spaces.
And no spaces. And when you're a dyslexic trying to read this stuff with no spaces, it really is more difficult. So sorry about that, Reginald. For those of you on the audio side, yeah, I said Reginald Drivers instead of Reginald Rivers. So there we go. Do you think that's a possibility there with Robert Woods?
What?
That because he apparently even told the Steelers, hey, if you got a spot for me on the 53, you need someone else, keep my number.
There are a lot of teams out there that will keep his number that if they need a spot, but I think he's made it clear here. I don't want to be on a practice squad. I want to be on somebody's 53-man roster. And I think the Steelers understood that, given how many years Robert Woods has played in the league. And
how many years has he played in the league? Do you know?
Like, what is he, 7 or 8?
12.
Really up to 12?
Can you believe that?
8 or
12.
9. Wow.
He was drafted in 2013 by the Bills.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he's been around a while.
Yeah.
I don't blame him for
He's
not
33.
not wanting to be a practice squad player. I don't blame him. And in the end, I think what happened was the Steelers made that offer to him because really it was the right thing to do. The Steelers may have been surprised that he initially took that offer.
Yeah. I don't blame him. I mean, if you've been around that many years, you're like, do I need a practice squad paycheck? Or do I have to just realize, hey, I'm going to take my shot on a 53, or if not, the time might just have come. So if you really wanted to be around the Steelers, I could see the importance of it. I'll be honest with you, if I'm the Steelers and they're dealing with injury, we might say, hey, if we sign you, it's going to be the practice squad, but we're going to elevate you. But honestly, what they got from Robert Woods, there was really no question if he was going to make the 53. So I kind of look at it as like, thanks. It was fun. You were a good mentor for some of these young guys. But I'd almost rather see one of the other wide receivers on the practice squad if they really had to have somebody. So that's just me. One other thing about practice squad, they keep getting all these reports of players that the Steelers add. Like one was even last week when adding Aiden Williams. The Steelers never announced it and haven't put him on the website. So technically, with the release of Robert Woods, they have 2 spots. But reportedly, those go to Aiden Williams and John Radigan, I think it is. Is that how you say it, the linebacker?
I think so.
So those are just things that are out there. Only other news, like I said, we don't want to talk too much about news because we already talked about our excitement for the game coming up. But I mentioned Derek Harmon before. Are you surprised that he's ruled out?
No, not at all.
No.
I'm not.
So some people are probably like, well, why don't they put him on IR? They still can. Whether they put him on IR designated to return last Tuesday or they put him on IR this coming Saturday, he would have to miss. He could not come back one day sooner between those two differences. So there's still time. And honestly, I think he's still working. He's just not really able to do much. Once they put him on IR, he can't really do much of anything. So just think, it sounds great that he'll be, hoping he'll be back sooner. It still doesn't mean that they won't put him on IR Saturday. Now, to me, if they wait and put him on IR after this week's game, that would be dumb because then you have to wait even longer. But I think they've got enough defensive linemen on the team that they can even absorb him if he misses all 4 games without having to put him on IR. They did it last year with Isaac Samalu. He missed the first 4 games but never went on IR. So if you can get by, you don't necessarily have to do that and use one of your designated to return spots.
Right.
And I've heard a lot of people saying about, Will Howard and Dante Kent were put on as you and I both expected when we did our show last week, they were put on the injured reserve list, designated to return. No. They are not designated to return. Everyone that goes on IR after 24 hours of being on the 53-man roster can be designated to return when the time comes, but they don't count as a spot until the Steelers actually designate them. And that's why it was wise for the Steelers, if they could, to wait that time, because now if they don't bring either one of them back, they don't count as one of the 8 spots. If the Steelers start dealing with a bunch of crazy injuries, they might need those other spots for other things. So yeah.
Yeah, it played out exactly how we felt it was going to play out. And in the end, very smart, because it basically saved them a spot.
Yeah. They get 8 designated to return. So
right.
It's the whole idea.
If they had designated 2 before, then they only have 6 left.
Yes. Now they have 7.
Designated 1, they still have 7 left. So that was the thing to do.
Okay. So that answers your question there, Ron Owens. Oh, sorry. Or is that Ron Owens? Sorry, I can't help it now. Now I'm just going to do it because I'm going to screw it up anyway. That was
Ron.
Yeah, because Matt Cat 49, who's Matt Cat, the infamous Matt Cat commenter at steelcurtainnetwork.com, great commenter that we have, very, very involved with the website. Love this guy. Said, what about that special teams linebacker? Yeah, that's the John Radigan. That's only a report. The Steelers have not announced it. That's the difference. And someone else asked this. That said, what's this I'm hearing about Shiloh Sanders being signed to the practice squad? Did I miss something? Okay, that was from Brent Howell. Here's the deal. I had somebody ask me about this last Tuesday evening, right before our show. I had a meeting I was at before we went live. They said, well, what's this? You know what? You've got to be careful in some of these social media places. You got to be careful on X. You got to be careful on Facebook. I don't follow just general Steelers stuff. I actually stick and only look at stuff that I know is legit. Because there's a lot of places that just put out fake stuff for clicks. And that happened last Tuesday about Shiloh Sanders. Someone had already asked me about that. He's like, tell me what I've heard that's true and what I've heard that's not true. I'm like, okay. They ran by a couple things, and I'm like, yep. No, I'm like, nope. Oh, and then the Shiloh Sanders, the Steelers side, nope, not true. So now, does it mean that that's never going to happen? No. Could there be a rumor about it that it does happen eventually? Yeah, I have not heard from any credible source. So got to be careful with that, right, bro?
That's easy to do. I actually have fun at times looking through some of the social media that I have some places that I know do that. Mm-hmm. Sometimes it's fun to see what they put out.
Yeah, just to see what kind of
because it's like
crazy
really
stuff.
Anybody that's gullible enough to click on that, you're dumb.
Well, the thing is, I can't do that because I'm trying to do news for the website. So I've got to keep it tight the way it's going. So I don't know about you, but I just have a whole different energy right now talking about the Steelers just because it's here.
Yes.
But there's still a whole lot of unknowns, aren't there?
Well, yeah. I mean, there's unknowns every year.
Absolutely.
There are unknowns every year. They just changed. The ones we have this year are a little different from the ones we had last year and things like that. But to me, again, that's still part of that journey that I talk about that keeps things interesting.
Yeah. I'm like, Coach Tomlin talked today in the press conference about how do I say this? That because it's week 1, there's always going to be uncertainty and speculation with what your opponent's going to do. How much speculation there is depends on how much things have changed within that organization. So he talks about the Jets, once again, new coaching staff from last year. You don't really know how Coach Glenn's going to do something. First time head coach. You don't know how he's going to do something. But the Steelers were in the same boat last year. Now, it wasn't a first-time head coach because it was someone who was was Raheem Morris for the Falcons last year. He had been an interim head coach with them before. So but it was a new coach going in there. You don't know what to expect. There's going to be some kind of speculation. Now, the Steelers, with their coaching staff, not so much. But they kind of have the same deal. Because you've got an Aaron Rodgers and DK Metcalf, you're probably your two biggest offensive weapons, expected to be, that are coming in, and you haven't seen them play a snap together. And you've got some weapons in the secondary and how the Steelers are going to deploy them, with them just showing some very vanilla stuff of them making sure they understood the communication stuff for one series in one preseason game. Is it important for the Steelers to create that speculation that the Jets are going to have for them, just like they're going to have that towards the Jets?
Yes, because the other, we can go on and talk about, like for the Steelers, are they going to, in this first game, maybe deploy the 04 set?
Yeah.
I mean, teams just don't know. And if so, if they're thinking, well, wow, they could do this. Well, we could plan for this. Well, they could spend a bunch of time planning for it, and the Steelers may never deploy it. But just not knowing if the Steelers will do that or not.
Yeah. I honestly, you talked to 04. I want to see the 13.
Well, the 13 is going to be good.
Yeah.
Okay. But that 04 could be absolute insanity.
Yes.
Which is why both of those sets for the Steelers potentially could cause teams a lot of problems.
Mm-hmm.
And they're going to have to plan for it. They're going to have to spend some time defensively thinking about what kind of personnel they're going to try to combat that with.
Yeah.
Not knowing exactly what the Steelers may even do out of some of those sets. Because as we've talked about, we'd like the Steelers to make decisions based on what the other team runs out there for the defense.
Yes. And offensively, I really do trust Aaron Rodgers. I mean, like I said, you don't bring Aaron Rodgers in to say, you've got to run the play we call in the huddle. You don't do that.
No,
that
you
would
bring
be
Aaron Rodgers in to say, we're going to call 2 plays in the huddle. You go to the one that sits up better.
Yeah. Even if it's just one of those two. Yeah, that's fine. Because guess what? They're going to already have that figured out. But I want to talk about the 13 for a minute before we go to break. I 13 formation. Okay, in case for those of you that don't understand when they talk about formations, I want to make sure things are clear. I like everyone to understand what's going on. And if there's even one person out there listening, either right now live or later on a podcast, that doesn't know what that means, when you said 04, I said 13. I want to understand. I want you to understand this. Okay, when you talk about those formations, the first number is the number of running backs. The second number is the number of tight ends. The key is your number of eligibles always adds up to 5. So if it doesn't add up to 5, the leftover numbers are wide receivers. The most common formation in the NFL these days is 11 personnel. 1 running back, 1 tight end, which then leaves 3 receivers. All right. So just in case people didn't know that, if you knew that and didn't want to hear me, hopefully you took a drink or something like that, or got something to eat, or I don't know. Anyway, or if you're listening to audio, just hit fast forward. All right. So now that that's explained, when you say 04, that's a package with no running backs and 4 tight ends
and 1 wide receiver.
And 1 wide receiver. What the crap are you going to do there? Now, I do understand you could put a Jonnu Smith or a Connor Heyward in the backfield and maybe even hand off the ball. The reason I like the 13 is this. I say, instead of Connor Heyward, go ahead and give me Jaylen Warren. And I want Jaylen Warren because I'm like, if you give me this personnel group of Jaylen Warren as your running back, your 3 tight ends are Pat Freiermuth, Jonnu Smith, and Darnell Washington. And your 1 wide receiver is DK Metcalf. Do you know what you just did that the Steelers failed to do so many times last year? You put 5 weapons on the field at one time. Because even though they don't look to Darnell Washington a ton, that dude is a weapon, and you've seen them use it. You can use him in the red zone. If you split him out wide, he's either going to, in the red zone, he's either going to catch the touchdown or he's going to draw the pass interference. He did both of those last year. Okay, so you bring in that personnel group, and you and I've talked about this so much with the creativity that we want to see. You use that personnel group, and if they respond like you're going to run, you just set those guys. I mean, you put Washington out wide. You know, you split DK out on one side, Washington on the other. I don't care if you do trips with Jalen Warren and Jonnu Smith, and you keep Pat Fairmouth in as an H-back, or switch him and Jonnu or something like that, and put Washington out there by himself. How are they going to stop that? You can even put Jalen Warren in the backfield if you need to, just to pass protect if you want to put all your tight ends out. I understand if you might need to have a little bit of help pass protecting. How are you going to stop it? How are you going to combat it if you lined up to stop the run? So if you line up to say, oh, we got to be able to match those guys in the passing game, just line it up and run it down their throats.
I talked about the 04 setup, which would be, the 4 tight ends and a wide receiver, probably DK Metcalf. I also won't be surprised if at some point during the season we see the Steelers run out in 14 personnel. That would be Jalen Warren and the 4 tight ends.
And the 4 tight ends. Yeah. Not even DK Metcalf. See, DK Metcalf is such a big dude. He's like he's a tight end. He's a tight end build that plays wide receiver. I mean, there's so much you can do. I would love that. That's exciting. But I'll be honest with you, though. Here's another thing that the Steelers have to do. Okay? I'm going to bring this up before we go to break. I know I keep talking about breaking. But, Rich, you also can't throw every idea that you got out in the first couple games.
No.
You've got to implement things little by little as you go. Because I'll be honest with you, you play the Baltimore Ravens twice and you don't see them until December.
Yeah.
There's going to be something left in the playbook that you haven't shown yet. That's the key.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. I don't expect to see it all in week 1. You expect to see a few things in week 1, and then see slowly the Steelers add some things here and there. And I agree that they will hold on to something and show Baltimore something they've not seen on tape. When they play Baltimore.
Yep. I agree. And I mean, and you can't just keep all your best stuff hidden back. This is stuff during the offseason or everything that you're planning. You have scouts, everything else. You're like, what does Baltimore do? This is stuff offensively and defensively, both the Steelers are going to do. What do they do? What's something that would be specifically designed that would be good against them? And the Steelers are like, we're not going to show this until we play them. We'll just, now, do you not show it at the cost of not being able to win a game? I mean, my goodness, if you have the best play ever that you don't want to show Baltimore, but you're down in a game and you need a 2-point conversion to tie to send it to overtime or something like that, or you're going for 2 to win rather than the one, run. I don't care. Run your best friggin' play, get the win when you got to get it. So, But at the same time, you've just. That's the importance of having the right people that you continue to build on the stuff that you're doing week after week. So. All right, Rich, we're going to take a break. The live chat is hopping. Everyone's excited. We're going to take a break so we can come back and talk a little bit more about it being go time for the Steelers. So if you're with us here live, we're not going anywhere. If you're with us here on the audio side, we'll be right back after this break.
Relax, don't worry. No rush, what's the hurry? Relax, don't worry. Don't worry. Relax, don't worry. No rush, what's the hurry? Relax, don't worry. Don't worry. Relax.
All right, Rich, we got to relax. Don't worry, everything. Hey, I got something else to talk about here before we dive back into our conversation. We already talked about the contest. If you didn't hear it already, get in our contest. We're trying to get this first league filled up. What did I say? It's 19215. If you go to Yahoo Survivor, Steel Curtain, all lowercase, all one word. That's you log in. Chance to win the signed Alec Kafanik helmet. Alan Faneca helmet there. I might have said right. Rich, I had some personal news today that you might have seen in the Slack channel or something else. And I have to say something. A lot of people are there where I see her chiming in occasionally saying something to Afton. I'm surprised Afton didn't say anything unless she didn't hear the news yet, because I think she might appreciate this news.
I saw
it was supposed to be much sooner than this. It was supposed to be 2 years ago. But 2 summers ago, I was helping getting Fans First Sports Network off the ground. Then it was supposed to be the end of last summer. That's when our mom ended up going in the hospital in the nursing home before she passed away, and I had so much going on with that. This summer, I'm like, it doesn't matter. I'm not going to do it otherwise. But in case you didn't hear, Afton, or for those of you that might know, as of today on Amazon, my second novel is now available. So if anyone out there supported me with my first novel, it's not Steelers. It's technically young adult fantasy adventure is what it is. But my first book is out there. It's called Ghost Warriors. The second book in the Ghost Warrior series is called Ghost Wars Vision of Legacy. It is now available on Amazon. I don't care about people buying my book. Okay. If you have, if you're a member of Kindle Unlimited, you get the book for free. You can read it for free. Okay. It's not really about selling the book. It's more about, I just want people to read it. If you like to read books and you like fun stuff, I want you to read it. The first book it's on discount right now. But if you go to Amazon, all you have to do is go to Amazon, type in David Schofield. It's David rather than Dave. And it'll come up eventually. There's an actor, a British actor named David Schofield. Some of his stuff might come up. Or you could write David Schofield book and it'll be there. So if you haven't caught either of them, they're both available. You can get them both. For those of you that read the first one and are ready for the second one, it is out there. I just really hope Kathy was great. Kathy left me a review on Amazon. So I really appreciate that. But she might be so disappointed that she had to wait so long, because she told me she got the book and by the next day she was done. So maybe Kathy's upset and she doesn't want to and she doesn't want to read it now. Maybe she's mad at me. But book 2 is out there. I'm excited about that. So I've already said too much, but I know some people had been asking me if it was ever going to be out there. Finally, it is. Rich, let's get back to the Steelers.
Please. Not that I'm upset that you wrote another book, but
yeah,
I'd rather talk about the Steelers.
Yeah, that's funny.
What?
Yeah, it's funny because Afton says she reads fast.
Yeah.
Matt Cat asked me to put the titles on the website. I don't. Maybe I could drop it in a comment. I don't want to put it in an article, mainly because I'm not trying to just use the stuff with the Steelers to promote the book. But yeah, message me on Twitter or anything. I shared the link on Twitter. I'll probably do that again. I'll probably share the link to the whole series if you follow me on Twitter. But yeah, Rich, when we wake up Sunday morning, granted, there will already have been 2 NFL games played. It's nice that there'll be one Thursday and one Friday. I'll probably pay attention, but nothing's going to mean nearly as much that when we wake up Sunday morning, we know that the Pittsburgh Steelers will be taking the field.
Yeah, there's only one problem.
What?
You said wake up Sunday morning. How am I going to be able to sleep on Saturday? That's
a good point.
I'm going to be so excited.
Yes.
It's like probably won't sleep. Just itching for some Steeler football.
Yeah. 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 I'm trying to kind of almost block it off a little bit because I'm really excited for Sunday. I'm actually really excited about tomorrow. I'm the one who does the articles. We've got an injury report coming on Wednesday.
Yeah.
I'm going to follow that because there is one other. There's still a little looming thing. Coach Tomlin really downplayed it. I'm going to ask you. Do you got any concern about Cam Heyward?
Not really. No. And part of the reason there is because, honestly, if the Steelers, if they really wanted to this year, I mean, they have better depth on their defensive line. I feel a lot better about the defensive line than the past couple years. And, you know, if there's anything going on with Cam, you could hold him out. You can limit snaps. You could, I mean, yeah, not worried.
No, so it's just, I'm more worried about Cam saying, I'm not playing. I don't think that's going to happen. I don't know how this is going to play out this week. We could be talking about this, and by the time people listen, there's something could have been done. I mean, my goodness. The Steelers, that's the one news we didn't talk about, was the Steelers extending Jalen Warren.
Yes.
Which did save them some cap space. You got a salary cap article coming out tomorrow at steelcurtainnetwork.com. Make sure you're checking that out. Because right now, my goodness, the reports on the Steelers' salary cap are all over the place. They are. Like, there's a difference of $18 million between over the cap and actually $19 million when I really do the math between over the cap and spot rack. So I'm giving you mine that'll be out there tomorrow. But I'm hoping everything gets worked out with Cam. I do think it's a bad precedent to like redo his deal because they just don't do it. And I like the rule that they have. I just hope it doesn't come down to him missing time because that would be crazy. Yeah.
Dave, sometimes it's hard to tell, especially with a player like him who has been in Pittsburgh as long as he has. Is this real? Has it been a smokescreen? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, has it been used in an excuse? Not just by Cam, but by Cam and the team to kind of take things easy here and there, and not overdo things in camp in the preseason. Very possible. Very possible. Could it just all been smoke and mirrors? It could be real. I try not to worry about it. And like I said, I feel more confident in stuff this year than if this would have been last year or the year prior.
Mm-hmm.
Where I felt that the offensive or the defensive line was not very proven and needed some work. We've got guys in there, some of the same guys, but now they've got more experience and they play better. Add in some young guys. Honestly, Mr. Black is probably one of my new favorite players.
Oh, yeah.
It will be hard for me not to get a 94 jersey. I'm really considering it because I need a new jersey. And I like something that's different.
Yes.
It might be a 94 jersey.
Yeah, honestly, that's a good one. I like that one. My thing is,
listen to him when he does his press conferences too. The guy's hilarious.
Yeah,
Guy has I've seen some of those interviews. I'm like, man, he's already doing this. Like he's been in the league for a while. Like
yeah.
he's comfortable doing that, which is kind of cool.
I would feel much better about stuff if Derek Carmen wasn't injured.
If Derek Carmen wasn't injured, it would basically be zero worry.
No, I don't think zero because Cam is Cam. He was an all-pro player last year. Yes, he was. I mean, you can't just take that away and say that it's gonna be there.
But if he did that, if you're running out for your starting, we'll say for all intents and purposes, starting 3 on your defensive line, running out Harmon, either Black or Loudermilk and Benton, I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
It does make you a little more concerned just because Derek Harmon not being available this week. But in the end, the Steelers could survive it.
Yeah. Well, we'll see.
Not saying that I want it.
Yeah.
But the Steelers could survive it. Dave, 2 years ago, the Steelers couldn't have survived it.
Yeah, you're probably right. But my thing is, it's still Isaiah Loudermilk, and that's still a guy that I think. I mean, he's a guy that I don't even think is really good enough to be on the 53. You talk about the Steelers and their defensive line depth. And they kept 8 guys. My thing is, if they'd have had 6 guys that were phenomenal, they wouldn't have needed to keep 8. That's just what I'm saying. I will tell you this. The Steelers did release, with their weekly report and stuff, they update their depth chart. Most of the time it doesn't change much or anything. I did find it interesting that the backup to Cam Heyward is Isaiah Loudermilk. The backup to Derek Harmon, still listed as first team, is Y.A. Black. So I'm really hoping that Black gets snaps. I don't want to look at the end of the game and say, oh, he played 6 snaps. I want to see more than that, because if nothing else, now if he goes out there and doesn't play well, then at least, hey, it was what they had to do. So that's the thing. I have zero confidence. No, not zero. I have almost zero confidence in Isaiah Loudermilk. That's my biggest thing. So I'm going into this game with the excitement of seeing 97 out there, picking up right where he left off last season.
Doing a big doing a big belly bump with 94.
Yeah, that would be great. That would be. Nothing would. I don't know if I could get much more joy than seeing someone like Y.A. Black come out of week 1 and the rest of the NFL is talking about him. That would give me so much joy, because that would just from the preseason, man, I thought he was great. And I was like, how did this dude only be a 5th round pick? So I could gush over him for a long time. So maybe I should stop. So do you think we see any changes to the roster? But especially significant ones between now and Sunday.
I'm not expecting it.
Yeah,
I'm not. Yeah, unless they were to take one of those guys and put them to IR, but I just really don't think. I really don't think there's a need to. So
No.
I'm leaning towards no surprises.
I'm telling you right now, because one of the articles that I do that runs on Saturdays when the Steelers play on Sunday there at Steel Curtain Network is I try to predict the inactive list. Now, a lot of it's based on the injury list. If the only thing on the injury list is Derek Harmon out and everybody else is available, to me, the Steelers are going to have Skylar Thompson, who will still dress, but he's technically on the inactive list.
Yep.
2 offensive linemen and 2 defensive linemen, one of which would be Harmon. Okay? Yeah. So that's what I would think. If Nick Herbig is not going to, or potentially not going to be able to go, I see an elevation of DeMarvin Leal.
I would imagine that as well.
Yeah. So that'll be an indication on Saturday about stuff, but we'll know more from the injury report. Some people are saying, "Oh, well, you put James Pierre to start on the practice squad, but he'll probably get elevated because they want it for special teams." I don't know that they do, because I don't know where they find a helmet otherwise. If they do, then Carson Brunner, is he not going to get one? That doesn't make sense. You're not going to give one. 4 tight ends, I think they're going to do that, unless they don't have 5 wide receivers, which I don't. Especially if Skoronek's a special teams dude, I would think you would want to do that.
Right.
So there we go. So I just thought that was anything. Before we go on to our big question, is there anything else you want to say about the excitement, it being go time for the Steelers? It's kind of your anything else you want to put out there? Wait, I did see a question that I wanted to ask first. So think about that while I ask this question. Where John S. says, what do you make of Caleb Johnson being the 3rd running back? You know what I make of it? That's exactly what I expected him to be.
And I think that whether he was listed at 2 or 3, does not change at all how the coaching staff was thinking of using him in this game.
You are 100% exactly right. Okay, but I will bring up what Pittsburgh Toddy said they don't trust his pass pro yet. Let's just say this. I don't know if they don't trust it or he needs to establish trust with it.
Yeah.
So, which means they don't trust it, but that doesn't mean that they won't ever give him an opportunity with that. So, John Malesko asked another important question. He says, if a player is on the practice squad and they get elevated, how is their game check calculated? Here you go. Here's the answer from the way I understand it. I'll do my best. It is based on the minimum salary for their years of experience. So for a number of these guys, like DeMarvin Leal, it would be for a guy who's in year 4. If you're talking about somebody, if they ever bring up like a Max Hurlman or a Lou Nichols, it would be someone that's a rookie. They take the minimum salary for your year's experience and they divide it by 18 because that's how much one game check would be. And that's how they do it.
Yep.
All right.
Yep.
So there. Rich, is there anything else you want to say or bring up before we do our big final question?
Yeah, I want to hop back to something real quick about Mr. Black.
We can't talk enough about him.
Yeah, for the record, he was number 1 on my Camp Darling list.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I have that around here somewhere.
And I feel like he has lived up to that.
Well, he won the Brett Kiesel Award at Steel Curtain Network, in case you missed that.
But to me, he turned into the Camp Darling I thought he potentially could. So,
yeah, my biggest thing with him as the Camp Darling was 5th round pick is sketchy for something like that.
We decided it could be anybody who was drafted on day 3.
I had him as number 3.
Yes, I knew you had him, but I knew he wasn't number 1 on your list. He was number 1 on my list.
Oh man, which is funny. You
like
lost one early.
Yeah, I know.
And then your last pick didn't even make it all 3 preseason games.
Yep.
But man, your top 3 were solid with Y.A. Black, Carson Bruner, and Jack Sawyer. Me, I had Rock Taylor number 2. I had Sebastian Castro number 1, and there was a lot of people like Jim Wexel really liked him. He really liked him, but part of it is like they didn't want too many people to see him because they wanted to put him on the practice squad. But yeah, I thought Y.A. Black that he I can't talk enough about him. I'll just keep saying that. So
yeah, he put it this way. Derek Harmon was the real deal and should have been drafted in the 1st round where the Steelers drafted him. But you want to talk about what it was then a pleasant surprise, and that was to get Black in round 5.
If he can be what we think he can be, just imagine the next few years, because Cam Heyward's still around this year. He's under contract, so for next year we'll see how everything is with his age and whatnot. But you talk about Black, Harmon, and Benton, especially if Benton really needs to take a step. Y.A. Black has a chance to be what I thought Keanu Benton was going to be by this time.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I really want to see Benton take a step. I really want to see Harmon come on to the scene, and I just want to see Black be that guy that's like, dude, we got to figure out a better way to get him on the field.
And I'll tell you, the thing that really kind of excites me about Harmon and Black, Benton, Heyward, those 4 guys in particular on the defensive line is what the craziness is going to be that they open up for the linebackers to roam free and do their thing. Like they're just going to make some of those guys behind them even better, and that could be scary.
Yes. Absolutely. And that's kind of their job. That's kind of what they really need to be able to do. So we haven't seen all of this together in the preseason. I don't think we're ever going to see all of the Steelers together in the preseason again, because that's just the way things have changed. Adding that one extra game of 17 games is almost like, you know what? The more we use them in the preseason, the more they're going to be worn out by the end of the year. going to 18 games, I know it's a big money thing, but I'm really worried about the NFL pushing it past the sweet spot to where players aren't going to have their best stuff left at the end of the year. That's one thing that I am worried about. I mean, trust me, I would take NFL football every weekend year round, but it's just too much to ask of the players to do those kind of things. So
Exactly.
so it is what it is. Rich, you know what it is. We're in the regular season. We did it for the preseason, but it was kind of fun. But now they actually matter. It is time for our big question. Before I say it, I got to remind people that are new, because people jumped the gun last week that were new, didn't realize how things work. It's fine. We give you a hard time, but we still give you a chance to do your thing. So wait for me to actually put this in there in the live chat before you answer it. Go ahead. I'm sure some people already knew it was coming, so they have it typed up. And that is, we're going to ask you your score prediction for this game. Now, I don't give my score prediction because I have to give mine on the preview as part of the running thing that we have going there, and I can't let Jeff and Brian get an advantage of 2 days on me. Plus, I need that extra time to know more with the injury report in order to get them. So I think that's something. But you give your score report when people type them in. If you don't put a team and you just put a score, we're just assuming that you mean the Steelers are victorious. So now I've got that. I hit the full disclaimer. Rich, talk to me about your prediction and your score prediction for this game.
Ready to go. Bring on regular season Steeler football. I'm going to be pretty optimistic this first game. I think that the Steelers' offense has improved from last year. I like some of the weapons we now have. Defensively, I think the Steelers have the potential to be scary good. It may not start out scary good initially because those guys have got to have a little time to get together. So I'm going to go with a score of Steelers 29, Jets 18.
All right, Rich has 29, 18. That's some pretty good stuff to go there. I know a lot of people are waiting. I'm actually putting it out there now. I hit send on my end. I don't know how soon it'll show up.
It's in YouTube already. So.
Okay, so there we go. Oh, and man, we had people ready. Yeah, we had them ready because you know who's ready. One of the first ones every time. Afton Ford's got 17-15 good guys. Which is, I'm going to say this is some of these are coming in. Coach Tomlin said something today about when they asked him, what do you want to see from your offense in week one? He's like, score a lot of points and get the W. So he actually talked about wanting to score points. So sometimes it's like, oh, he doesn't care about score points. He just wants the W. He said score points first. So we'll see how that goes. All right, I got to get these or else I'm going to get behind and then it'll glitch on me. Howie says 21-21 tie. Just keeping it my trend. Okay. I got to make a list because I've already forgot who people really are based on their other stuff that I like to bring up. Steeler Chick 46 has Steelers 28, Jets 14. I'm going to screw this up. Matthew Bunk, I hope I got that, says 31-13 Steelers. Man, there's a bunch of them flying in, which is tough for me. Matt Cat, it didn't show up on my end. I had it.
Matt Cat said 24-13.
I know. It didn't actually show up on my screen, but did it show up on the stream at all? I'm going to try it again. Oh, there it said.
Yes.
Matt Cat 49. That's 24-13. Okay. John Malesko has 24-17 Steelers. Man, I got to keep coming back for this. Brent Howell has 24-12 Steelers. Kathy Ford's got 27-17 Steelers. What's the name here? Is this Dr. Dione? I'm going to go with it. It could be Dion, but there's an E. I don't know. 23-17 Steelers. Then we've got, as soon as I clicked it, it jumped. Because you all really, there it is. I think I got it. There we go. We've got Patricia Castaneda says 24-17 Steelers. Joseph Donovan has 24-13 Steelers. Outside Steeler fan says good guys 21-15 with the defense coming up with a big stop at the end. Jamie Carlos got 23-10 Steelers. And I went to hit the next one, and sorry, it skipped on me. Reginald Drivers has... no, I didn't get it. Reginald Rivers, sorry, it's too much fun, says 27-17. Steelers, Mr. Woodside has Steelers 20-16. Nate Van Slyke, he said something about... I think he's running a marathon. He told Jeff Hartman. Okay, he says 27-24 Steelers with a defensive TD somewhere in there. I think he's running a marathon that morning or a half marathon or something. Yeah, early start for the marathon Sunday morning. So is trying to get back in time for the start of the game. That's some good stuff. It's funny. Kathy Ford says, looks like everyone counting on defense. I am counting on defense. I'll be honest with you. I'm looking more at a score. I'll be honest with you, the Pittsburgh Toddies and I are thinking very similar, just kind of foreshadowing what I have as I try to bring his up. He's got 27-9 Steelers. Okay. Yeah. I know Howie told us it's Thomas Riley. For some reason, the name escaped me because Thomas Riley always gives us the tie. I really wish they would go back to the other names. It would be so much better. Because here we got Valley Ford saying 31-17 Steelers. Did I miss any of them in there yet? Here we go. Demetrios, 17-13 good guys. And that's funny because John Malesko points out lots of 24s. Looking like we're scoring 3 TDs and a field goal. That's a lot of... the more people that predict that as a score, the more it probably won't be. That's all that I see so far. Any more show up yet that just haven't come up on my end?
No.
All right, so I think we're good to go. All right. I think there's going to be a delay in Steel City Insider this week. It will be here, but I don't think it's going to be on its normal Wednesday. We're probably going to have to just group some things together. Other than that, we should have all your regular podcasts coming your way. We'll continue to break things down as a regular game week on SteelCurtainNetwork.com. I got to remind Jeff that he's going to have to get it set up for the game predictions. I assume we're doing game predictions again this year where the staff goes in and writes them. Getting into good stuff. We're going to be having knee-jerk reactions from Big Bro during the game. You gave us a worthless 2 cents from the preseason earlier this week, so we should have another one next week after the game. Really like those. I'll continue to have all kinds of news and stuff and break down numbers and 90 minutes before the game, I'll have the inactives, things like that. It's just so exciting to get to it. So make sure you're following us. Hit the social Steel C Network. That's our Twitter handle. Make sure you're hitting that up. I was right. Nate Van Slyke says I am doing a marathon Sunday morning, as if I was training the same schedule while training camp was going on. That's funny. Hey, I got another one. Pickens, you big dummy. 27-3 Steelers. Oh, that would be a good one. That would be such a good one. All right, Rich, what do you have to say here to close this out tonight?
Oh, man. Regular season football. I'm excited. I know probably about noon on Sunday, I'll be pacing around. I'll be getting things ready for my knee-jerk reaction article and probably have sweaty hands because I'll just start feeling the nerves of everything going on. And, what are we going to see from the Pittsburgh Steelers? My hope is that I'm not screaming at and throwing things at my television on Sunday. I hope that there's a lot of good yelling going on, and who knows, I'd love the game to get us to the point where we get one of those great, a great new Spanish call that we can put on as one of our sounds.
Yes.
Looking forward to it. I hope everybody else is. I know where I'm going to be Sunday at 1:00, and I'm sure the rest of you are going to be there as well. It's almost like we're watching the game together on Sunday. Can't wait.
You gotta just chill out, man.
Can't wait.